Hi guys, this is Lana, and this is the Second Breakfast Club, and today we're going to be covering the lyrics to one of my probably top 5 favorite BTS songs, and one I've been dying to do for this series, Pied Piper. So this song kind of has earned a reputation as the song that roasts ARMY, which it kind of does, definitely in the verses, but a lot of people seem to just kind of leave it there and don't study further, which is a shame because I think these are some of the best lyrics that they've ever written. So Pied Piper is a really important song to me, and I'll say up front, I strongly believe, and it's, again, just what I'm observing, that if BTS had not won their first Billboard Music Award, Pied Piper would have been the single with DNA instead of Mic Drop. Because could you imagine not winning and then making Mic Drop your single? But in the beginning, they really promoted this song.
네, 오버 파이트 파이퍼. 네, 여러분 피리 부는 사나이 아십니까?
알죠.
네.
되게 유혹시켜서
그 쥐를
다
부르는 사나이죠.
그렇죠. 저희는 이제 피리 부는 사나이, 아미를 부르는 사나이.
그렇죠. 아미 부르는 사나이.
제이홉.
제이홉?
제이홉.
아미 한번 불러주세요.
And there's even evidence that they had a choreography for this song at one time. And it kind of breaks my heart that all of it seems to have been dropped. At all the concerts I went to for the Love Yourself series, I never saw them do a choreographed dance to Pied Piper. It's just kind of a song that's on the album. And I think that's kind of sad, especially when you factor in that this could have been a bit more. I mean, this is one of the songs on the album where Bang PD was one of the writers, and he kind of usually only jumps in when it's a song that's important. So I want to take some time to give it the appreciation it deserves and the attention that I don't think it ever got. So to start, today's analysis is going to be a little bit different than the ones we've done before, because we're going to kind of skip around this song a bit to get the point across easier. So to start, if you don't know the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, which the song is named after, I'm going to tell it to you really quickly. I am paraphrasing a bit off Wikipedia, just because I'm afraid that if I try to tell it off the top of my head, it'll get jumbly and full of ums, and I just want it to go smoothly. So, once upon a time, in the town of Hamelin, there was a big rat infestation, and a piper dressed in multicolored or pied clothing appeared, claiming to be a rat catcher. He promised the mayor that he could get rid of the rats, and the mayor promised to pay him for that. So he pulled out his pipe, which had like magical powers or hypnotizing powers, and was able to play his pipe, and all the rats came to him and he led them out of the town in like a trance. So once he'd gotten rid of all the rats, though, the mayor backed out of his promise and wouldn't pay him the full amount, and the piper got, furious, and he left, and he promised that he was going to come back one day to get his revenge. So on St. John and Paul's Day, when all the adults were at church, the piper returned, and he played his pipe through town and attracted 130 children that he led out of the town, again in a hypnotized trance just like the rats, into a cave. And how the story ends changes up a lot based on the version of the story that you're reading. In most of them, they say that he took them into a cave and he and the children were never seen again. I've also heard versions, especially older versions, where when he led the rats out, he drowned them, and then when he led the children out, he also drowned them. In nicer stories, usually the ones you find in children's books, he's more likely to bring them to a fairyland or a magical land where they'll be happy, and in some versions, he returns the children when the town decides to pay him. So basically, the Pied Piper as a character is this magical, fashionable, colorful, mysterious person who has the power to hypnotize with music and is particularly prone to leading children away with the sound of his pipe. Who he is and how he's represented is, again, by version. Sometimes he's kind of a heroic figure, or at the very least, somebody who you would agree got cheated. In a lot of ones, he's kind of a trickster character or even a malicious character, especially in the ones where he, kills all these kids. But the fact of the matter is he's, like, magical, right? And I tell you that story to give you a little more to think about as we talk about the lyrics in this song. So, while most people hear roasting ARMY, I found it very interesting that BTS were calling themselves the Pied Piper, right? Doesn't that make sense? Like a fashionable magical being who can hypnotize people with song. But that also means that throughout this song, they're comparing themselves to this, at the very best, like morally neutral, if not malicious, magical character. So, again, keep that in mind kind of as we read. And I'm going to skip around because BTS also kind of skips around with their story. I'm going to actually start with RM's verse for this song, the famous Roasting ARMY's verse. 이제 그만 보고 시험 공부해 네 부모님과 부장님 날 미워해 봤던 영상 각종 사진 트위터 위에 Let's stop looking and start studying for the exams. Your parents and boss hate me. The video clips you watched, various pictures and tweets, gotta watch V-app. I know you like it. What do you do? Stop it. You can analyze the movie later. You already have plenty of my pictures in your room. Not 1 hour, but a year or 2 flashes by. This song is a reward I give you. So, I see this, and again, all of this is my opinion, and just speaking from, like, literary analysis and lyrical analysis, and knowing the fairy tale it's based on. I see this as a whole lot less of a roast, and a whole lot more of a warning. RM here seems to be basically saying, I know that we're addicting, I know that you're obsessed with us, but you realize being this obsessive, you're gonna waste your entire life. This is really bad for you. We can be really bad for you unless you chill, right? Which we all see evidence of all over ARMY space sometimes. People who are way, way, way too obsessive to the point of messing up their own lives. So that seems like a pretty clear message, right? But we'll want to take a look at the hook directly after that. You're not being punished. Come here, you are my paradise. Can't close your eyes. You may struggle, but it won't matter anymore. Don't reject me. Just close your eyes and listen closely. If that's not a line about hypnotizing, I don't know what is. So when you compare that to the fact that RM just warned to stop being obsessed with them, and now they're saying, please be obsessed with me, you get to kind of the root of this song and why I think Pied Piper is both BTS thinking about themselves and the ethics of being a boy band, and why this song in all of the Her album is the one that I feel ties most into Tear and Answer. Because this is the song on Her where it seems that they're starting to really analyze the reality of who they are and the effect that they can have on people. In the chorus, they really start to develop this idea that I'm talking about a bit more. Follow the sound of the flute, follow this song. It may be a little dangerous, but I'm very sweet. I'm here to save you, I'm here to ruin you. You're the one who called me, see how sweet. Follow the sound of the pipe, I'm taking over you. Again, with a lot of hypnotizing language, but definite language here of BTS calling themselves the Pied Piper, leading young people away, potentially to their deaths. RM was just saying, being obsessive hurts you, And in the background, there's this siren call of, but please be obsessed, please be obsessed, please be obsessed. And if you were wondering whether they are unaware of that duality, Suga clears it up for us right away.
어쩌면 그래 나는 조금 위험해 조금 위험해 너를 이끄는 피리 부는 사나이처럼 나는 너를 시험해 알면서도 이끌리는 선악가처럼.
So yeah, maybe I'm a little dangerous, like a guy who leads with a flute. You test me, I'm knowingly drawn to you like the fruit on the tree of knowledge. So here I think that they're talking about the fact that they know being obsessed with them is unhealthy, but they also know that as a boy band, their fame and success and careers depend on people being obsessed with them, right? So I think this entire song is a personal study of what it means and who it makes them if everything that they're doing is built on a foundation of young people who are destroying themselves. Which is a really big juxtaposition. Like, it's a really big thing to try to wrap your mind around, right? That even if you're doing your best and even if you're a good person, the very nature of this business is predatory.
Designed by a marketing team, cashing in on puberty and low self-esteem, and girls' desperate need to feel love.
So you kind of see what I'm getting at here? There's something inherent in pop that questions the ethics of people who make pop. And by studying that a little bit in this song, I don't know, I've never seen another group talk like this before. I've never seen them like condemn and accept themselves at the same time this way before. And it gets even more intense as you go along. My flute wakes everything up. The sound of it makes you worry more. You react because you're drawn to it. I play the flute endlessly. I'm your guilty pleasure. You can never get out of this. Never. And I'll also add, it might not be intentional, but I know they do a lot of puns, not necessarily puns, a lot of wordplay between English and Korean. And the way that Hobie says, I'm your guilty pleasure, Yanoi guilty pleasure, he says it so quickly, to me, it sounds like you're my guilty pleasure. So there's, in my head, there was always a double meaning in that line. Like, you're obsessed with me, but I'm also obsessed with you. And there's an acknowledgement here that they're creating a system that traps people and traps young people. And to make the song even more complicated and, in my opinion, a lot darker, let's go back to the beginning of the song, the very first thing you hear in this song. I like it more because it's bad. You know it deep down. Now we don't stop. You can't stop. Be more honest. It's kind of that, it's like a symbiotic relationship, but it's one that leads to, or could potentially lead to a lot of dark places, right? Isn't that, I don't know, to me that line is so interesting. If I'm ruining you, will you forgive me? Because I can't live without you. Because I know I'm taking over you. It's kind of the final nail on the coffin for that one, don't you think? Like, there's flat out acceptance that by their existence, there are going to be young people who will throw their lives away over them. But to not accept this part of their career would mean throwing all their dreams away. And it would also, so they could either accept it and leave their jobs, they can refuse to see it and become really irresponsible, or they can do kind of the dual-natured thing that I think even exists in this song of acknowledging what pop is and what boy bands are and the effect they will have on people, but because of that, there's this pressure to be a good influence in the world, right? Like, it's just natural that fandoms are going to create intense passion, but when the creators are kind of aware of it, they can be responsible for it a little bit more. You know what I mean? And I also like that this song is fully acknowledging the fact that BTS sees themselves as a Pied Piper, right? They see themselves as... it's like in the way that I think they imagine we see them. This fashionable, fantastic, mystical thing that swoops into our lives and hypnotizes and leads us away. And some people, you know, will get the ending where it's a happy, like, candy world and we're brought back. And some people will be drowned by it. And BTS knows that. And they're also kind of roasting themselves here and saying, yeah, we know it, but we're doing it on purpose because we have to. Like, to keep making music, this is what we do. There's something ethically gray in how seductive pop has to be able to spread, right?
I love my baby and you know I couldn't live without her. But now I need to make every girl think this song's about her, just to make sure that they spread it like the plague. So I describe my dream girl as really, really vague. I'm in magazines full of model teens, so far above you. So read them and hate yourself, then pay me to tell you I love you.
You guys get it, right? So, while I'm not saying that BTS are irresponsible or bad or anything like that, but there's a gray area, and I think Pied Piper is all about that gray area. And if you think about that while thinking of this song, it makes the whole thing a lot more interesting and a lot deeper, right? It reminds me kind of Fake Love, in that a lot of people assume Fake Love is a breakup song, and it was kind of designed that way to play on the radio that way. But RM said in his V-Live that he wrote that song not thinking about a significant other, but thinking about his relationship to the fans, which makes that song so much more intense when you think about it as somebody struggling with fame directly talking to their fans. And there's an element of that here too. This situation is weird and hard, and people are going to get hurt, but also we were born to make music, so what else can we do? You know? RM warned you. You know, if you get obsessed and your life is ruined, they tried to warn you. So that about wraps it up. I hope that this was a bit more concise and shorter. I've been noticing I talk and ramble forever, so I hope the point got across, and I hope there was some interesting conversation. I'd love to hear your opinion on it as well. But hopefully this is a little more bite-sized and just a little bit easier to digest. So I'm excited to continue this. I have a lot of other thoughts and feelings on songs that I don't think are interpreted quite as interestingly as they could, quite as deep as they could be, because BTS has this habit of making really deep, loaded songs and putting it against a track that's poppy enough that the message is diluted to the people who aren't listening to it, and it causes less drama and less trouble, right? You see this in a lot of their social and political songs, which I'm going to cover probably next. I'm thinking of doing like a BTS top 5 most political songs or something like that. But yeah, take a listen to Pied Piper and imagine them talking about the nature of fame and the nature of who they are in our lives, who their personas are in our lives, and the influence that they know that they have over people. And I think you're going to have a lot more interesting time with that song. So, until next time, live long and prosper. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!
혼자 살아나고 혼자 소만이가